Hi guys!
Hello everybody, welcome back to Advanced Weekly Update.
It's Monday, February 21st, right?
That's right, February 21st.
So,
same time, same place.
We're so glad. Before we forget, by the way, next Monday we will not be here at 1 o'clock because it's a holiday, but we will be here on Tuesday, March 1st. So go ahead and mark your calendars for that. Next Monday, enjoy your holiday. Come on Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Tuesday, March 1st. But moving on with this week, we have a lot going on. First, it's freezing cold outside.
Yes.
Not literally, but it feels cold, doesn't it?
Well, kind of literally, because I am freezing, and it's that man. It's that classic Taiwan cold where it's so humid that it gets right down to your bones.
Feel it in your bones, right? So we've got the sweaters on. We hope you guys are staying warm.
Right.
And we know that this week's articles will keep you warm, right?
That's right.
On the inside, at least. We're focusing today on an article called Ecotone Renewables.
That's right, yeah. And it's a very interesting article about a small startup that has come up with a really big idea. It's a way of dealing with food waste, of which there is a ton of, as we read in the article, and turning that food waste into renewable energy that could be used in other places for other usages.
Yeah, they use a stat in the article that really got my attention. They talk about the billions of dollars worth of food waste in the United States alone.
Yeah.
All right, so it doesn't talk about the whole world, but just in the U.S. alone. And so we know that food waste is a big problem. So this company is taking that food waste and they're putting it into something called a seahorse. It's a machine that basically turns it into fertilizer and I think energy as well, right?
Yeah. It's a pretty fascinating process. I watched some videos online of the way it all works. And if they're able to scale it, right? We talk about that, we've used that word in advance before. If you scale something, it means that you take something like the small prototype and then you make it larger so that it's able to be sold for cheaper and to reach more people. If they could take this device and make it to scale and get people to sign on for it, it could be a really great way, a really simple way of dealing with the billions of tons of food waste that just go into the dump every year.
Absolutely. So what we really wanted to do today is have a conversation about the environment and what we can do in order to play our part, right? Okay. We talk about this a lot from time to time. This article focuses a lot on food waste, but there are other things we can do as well, right? Not just with regards to food waste, but other things we can do to help the environment.
Yeah, okay, so for example, so we're talking about food waste mostly in the article, but my former job in a former life, I worked with another kind of waste. Clothing, textiles, right? Any kind of cloth product. So it turns out that there are billions of tons of this stuff that is wasted every single year because they create much, much more clothing than anyone can actually wear. And that has a huge impact on the environment, not only because of all the waste that's created by making this stuff, but then when no one buys it, it eventually just goes into the trash.
Well, we have this thing called fast fashion, right?
That's right.
Clothes are cheaper, maybe the quality is also not as good, and so you can buy the clothes more often, but then there's more waste, and so what to do about all of that waste?
That's right. And my former job, working at a big textile recycling factory, was to take these thousands of pounds, millions of pounds of stuff that would come into our factory. We would process it, we would take out stuff that maybe we thought we could resell online, and the rest of it would go into a big cube, a good big cardboard cube. We would wrap it in plastic and then send it across the ocean. And then they would pass it out basically to people in areas in the Middle East or Africa that might not have clothing. But that also creates more waste over in those places.
So you were a busy man, it sounded like. It
just kept coming in.
So what can we do about all this waste? Something that I've noticed online that we can do that I think is worthwhile to at least look into is these online marketplaces. For example, on Facebook, they have one right here in Taipei. You can go on and you can sell stuff. Maybe you have a jacket that you don't want anymore, but it's still in good condition. You can sell it to someone else, and then that helps, reduce waste. Or you can even give stuff away. There are groups like that, which that's of course very popular. And then that way it doesn't end up in a landfill, at least not quite yet, right? And so I think that's one way that we can reduce waste, is just by sharing stuff in a sense, selling it when we don't need it anymore, and let someone else enjoy that for a while.
That's right. Finding ways to reuse things instead of just throwing them away is such an important thing. And honestly, I have to say that as an American coming to Taiwan, I feel like Taiwanese are overall much better about the environment, because I think we're living on an island here.
Yes, there's only so much space, right? So
right.
There's more of an incentive to do that.
Yeah, people are more aware of the limited resources.
Absolutely. And we see that with recycling, for example, when we're separating everything. There's separate piles for trash and so forth. Wow, Taiwan has gotten that down really well. They're doing really well with that. Yeah. So I think we can learn a lot from you guys as well. Maybe you can even share some of your tips in the comments below. But we want to ask you guys, our question of the week, actually right now will come up on the screen. What can you do in your daily life to help the environment? What can you do in your daily life to help the environment? There are lots of things maybe that you're already doing, but there are some other things, like maybe how can you save water, or how can you donate used items? There are lots of things. Yeah. We can always do more, right?
Yeah. And I think there are a lot of just simple things. We're not asking for big answers, but things like using a reusable water bottle, or maybe not washing your blue jeans every time you wear them, but maybe every other time.
Or every 10th time?
Every 10th time. I think some people say you should with blue jeans, you just leave them for a while.
Just don't wash your clothes.
Don't wash your clothes.
Just kidding. Your neighbors, your friends, your coworkers will be glad you washed yourself and your clothes. So be sure to do that. Yeah. But you can save water even while you're taking a shower. The water doesn't necessarily have to run the whole time. Right? I think I've learned that after living here in Asia. It's like, oh yeah, you can turn the water off. You don't need it the whole time. So there's lots of little things you can do. The water bottle thing is a good one. Don't reuse those plastic ones you buy at 7-Eleven or Family Mart. I've heard that's not good for your health. Yeah. I have friends who still do that, but go and get like a tin one, right, or metal one. I think that's better.
Yeah. All right. Another thing that we could do to help the environment actually is to start thinking about, as the world changes, as there are more and more people. How many people are there, Brandon?
There are over 7.5 billion people.
Unbelievable.
We're inching toward the 8 billion mark.
That's right. There are all these people in the world, and we're talking about food waste, right? All these people need to be fed. And when it comes to things like agriculture, oh my goodness, that actually takes up a ton of energy and releases a lot of emissions into the atmosphere. So one of the things that scientists and researchers are looking at as a solution to how much waste is created by farming is to use laboratory-grown meat.
I'm glad you brought up this topic about meat, because one of the tips about helping the environment is to eat less meat.
That's right.
Now, I find that would be hard for me to do, right? So I'm going to focus on the other ones first. But that is something we can consider as well. Or certain types of meat, like beef, maybe we could eat less of that. I personally just like chicken more than anything anyway. But this idea of lab-grown meat, we've had stories about that before. I think there was one last year, something about the shrimp. Yeah. Shrimply Delicious was the title.
That was the name of the title, yeah.
So I think that is weird, to be honest. But I am intrigued by this idea of how doing that could possibly help the environment. That makes me interested in it and opens up my, willingness to do it.
That's right. So we want to know what you guys think about that. We have a poll.
That's right. We have a poll to put up there.
That has to do with lab-grown meat. Okay, so the poll is just, would you be willing to eat laboratory-grown meat in order to help the environment? Maybe not for every meal, but for, maybe every other time you eat meat, it will be laboratory-grown meat or something. Would you be willing to try it as a way of helping the environment? you can just click yes or no. Now, for the poll, we've heard that you can only contribute to the poll if you are using the YouTube app on your phone. I don't know if it works on the browser as well, but you may have to pull it up on your phone app in order to do the poll. But I don't know, Brandon, what do you think? Would you be willing to eat lab-grown meat?
You know what I'm thinking about, David, is stinky tofu. What if there was lab-made stinky tofu?
It wouldn't be as good. You have to let it.
Would you eat that? Would you guys eat that? I don't know.
I wouldn't. Well, I mean, if it's cho tofu, like it's not stinky enough.
Okay, here's the thing for me with lab-grown meat, David, is it sounds fake.
Well,
I mean, you could argue maybe it is, but it's edible, right? Supposedly it's edible. So, there's this whole thing about doing things the natural way, right? And so I think this doesn't fit in that category, and so I feel like we're going in the wrong direction. But we do have a lot of people here on the earth, and so I get that this could help with that. So I think I would be maybe a slow adopter, but eventually maybe I would get on that bandwagon.
Okay, I think I would be willing to do it. Maybe not for every meal, but I would totally be willing to give it a try if I felt like doing it could help us reduce some of the energy that we use on agriculture. Now, I don't know how many people we've had submit to the poll.
Well, it looks like 100% are saying no.
Oh, right.
Maybe we led you in the wrong direction there. I don't know. I think you got this, got there on your own personally. But so is that correct? 100% are saying no?
100% are saying no.
All right. So we'll wait for the yeses. We're waiting. Give you about 5 seconds. Anybody want to say yes?
Go home and think about it. Go home and think about it. Who knows? The future could require us all to make this great change. Right? Like if we live in space, you can't farm in space. You get it. Well, anyway, thank you guys so much. I think we're out of time.
Yeah, sure. We don't really have a time limit, but sure. We have come to the end of our discussion, and we thank you guys for joining us this week, and we hope you guys stay warm. We hope you go get some good laboratory-made meat in the near future, and you can snack on that at home. But next week, join us on March 1st, not February 28th. We will not be here next Monday, but we will be here next Tuesday at 1 o'clock.
At 1 o'clock. Same time, same place.
See you guys.
See you later.